In what ways were you frugal when you first came to the NFL?
Oh. Well, in college, you get a scholarship check for a few $100s a month, and that's all you have to live on. And so my rent in college was $300 a month, which I thought was high. And, you know, my food bill was maybe a couple $100 a month, which I thought was outrageously high. And so we were used to spending $5 or $10 a week on auxiliary things, gas for my moped, that was about $1. And I had to put in gas every couple weeks. And outside of that, maybe a couple of drinks at the bar. That was the only spending you could afford. And that was great. Life was awesome. There's nothing else you needed. But, you get to the NFL and you buy a house, and then all of a sudden it's like, we need to buy furniture. And I'm like, all right, well, great. Walmart or Big Lots, it's right down the street. You can get some really nice quality stuff for good prices. And she's like, well, I'm gonna get an interior decorator. And anybody that's ever had an interior decorator understands that they're not going to Walmart and Big Lots to pick out the furniture. And then it's like, $1,000 for new curtains and drapes and stuff. And I'm like, what? No way. That's the dumbest thing on earth. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I even to this day, I just don't understand it, but I've understood that it's going to be a fight if I try to understand it. And so I just leave it alone and put that into her little bucket of responsibilities. And I'm like, I still have a hard time comprehending why people spend so much money on a house, like on the inside of it. But I've accepted the fact that it makes other people happy and interested. So I'm like, whatever. But a typical guy just doesn't care.
What do you think's responsible for you knowing to be frugal?
I think it's how we were both raised, honestly. As I've gotten to know my wife's parents and her family, we just come from really frugal families, and our families have never wasted money on things that aren't practical. And especially my dad and even her dad, they're extremely practical people. Like, if it doesn't have a practical purpose, it serves no purpose in their lives. And I think that's just kind of how I was raised. Completely function over form. And my dad, growing up, had a car that didn't go in reverse. And he saw no problem with that, because you put it in neutral and you stick your foot out the door and you do the Fred Flintstone, and there you go, there's your reverse. It doesn't cost you anything. And that's just kind of how we were raised. And never saw any problem with that whatsoever. And that's how Annie was raised. So that's just kind of been our mindset our whole life. And now, being in the NFL for 10 years, obviously we buy some nicer stuff, but some of it I still just don't understand, like the curtain thing. That's just crazy to me. I just don't get it.